I'm Joe Diamond, and I'm the founder of an organization called Coalition to Get Ilhan Omar off the Foreign Affairs Committee. You're here on a beautiful night, but we are here for a critical reason. A vile woman has she's been given power on the Foreign Affairs Committee of the United States Congress. This is a situation that we are here to correct. It will not happen tonight, but by the end of this year, she will be off that committee, I promise you. We are a diverse group. I'm sorry, my speaking is a little rusty. We are a diverse coalition. There is no prerequisite for membership of any color, any religion, any creed. The only thing we have in unison is that we recognize the threats that this woman presents to America and to America's allies and to Israel and to American Jews and to America's GIs. And I could go on, but I won't. In fact, we're so diverse, I want to tell you, a few days ago, I was informed, I have a friend in Minnesota, that a Muslim community group in Ilhan Omar's district wants to work with us. So apparently she not only causes hatred amongst Jews and amongst Americans, GIs and whatever, people of her own faith and in her own hometown distrust this woman. Anyway, I hope you're gonna come. This is only one night, and I hope everyone will stay with us as this movement grows. But I want you to understand something. There's gonna be a price. We are all gonna be called terrible names in the months to come. High among them will be the term Islamophobia. We are not Islamophobic. When it comes to Ilhan Omar, I don't care about her race, about her religion, I don't care about her country of origin. To paraphrase Omar, it's not about the Benjamins, it's all about her hate, baby. So I'll tell you one more thing and then we'll get on to the real speakers of the night. I am not Islamophobic, but I am guilty of something. I am Ilhan-ophobic. And I believe after you've heard everyone speak tonight, you will be Ilhan-ophobic too, and you should wear it as a badge of honor. And with that, I'm going to introduce our first speaker of the night. And that is the very prominent Rabbi Allan Schartz of Congregation Ohab Zedek right here in Manhattan. Rabbi, come on up.
Thank you, Joe. First of all, friends, let's thank New York's finest for maintaining order here today. The best law enforcement in the land is what makes this city such a great place to live. And let's also thank God for a country like ours, where we can take our message to the streets and render a powerful and public voice to truth. Because we're here today to tell the truth about a member of Congress who spreads hate and lies about us. She endorses and supports terrorists and convicted terrorists. Many of us gathered recently not too far from here to protest a despicable anti-Semitic cartoon published by the New York Times. Ilhan Omar's lies about the Israel and the Jews feed right into the canard that she espouses of Jewish influence. Readers of the New York Times, Boston Globe, Los Angeles Times, Washington Post, viewers of CNN, MSNBC, and all networks' coverage of Israel will be amazed at Representative Omar's claims of Jewish power and hypnotic trance that Israel promulgates over the world. These words are not meant for the people congregating behind these barriers. They are for all people of goodwill and integrity who know that the crematoria, which killed 6 million Jews, the gas chambers that choked 1.5 million children to death, did not start in 1942 with a builder's plan, but with the lies like those espoused by Ilhan Omar. So we call upon good people, regardless of their political affiliation, to stand up to this. We call upon all those, regardless of party, to recognize the outrage of Omar being on the prestigious Foreign Affairs Committee. Their deafening silence is allowing anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism to be dangerously mainstreamed and legitimized. Friends, the Bible calls this time of year between Passover and Shavuot, it is known as the counting of the Omer. 49 days where each of us ask ourselves, how can I be a better person? How can I be better than the day before? As we count along the way, we are always convincing ourselves, I can do better. We can all do better. I submit to all of you, people of goodwill, Ilhan Omar's statements about Israel, the US, Venezuela, 9/11, and so much more are so outrageous that I turn now to the people of her district, to the good, fine people of Minnesota, to tap into your inner Omer. We're in the time of counting the Omer now. Tap into your inner Omer and say, between Passover and Shavuot, and realize you can do better. I say to the party that elevated this hater, remove her before her constituents can. Remove her from the Foreign Affairs Commission. And I turn to my right and I tell you that those despicable cartoons that came out in the public in 1933 that weren't answered, they took them as well as us to the ovens. But don't worry, Israel will be there to protect you if ever the time comes. Goddamn right. Such hate has no place in our country. We can do better, and we will. Tell the people of Minnesota again, tap into your inner Omar and free us from this hate in this country. Thank you all for being here. All power to you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Next speaker now, a friend of mine for about a quarter century, Roy Murdock, a brilliant nationally syndicated columnist and TV commentator. Roy?
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you all for being out here today. Let me begin by talking for a moment about someone whose name you might have heard once or twice, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'll call her AOC. I only have a few minutes, and that saves a lot of time. When I first heard of AOC about a year ago, I thought I'd seen it all. A young, charismatic, well-spoken bartender whose ideas made absolutely no sense. But now, 1 year later, things have changed. AOC is a young, charismatic, well-spoken member of Congress whose ideas make absolutely no sense. Bless her heart. I thought AOC was crazy until I heard about Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. This Democrat from Michigan has said some truly disturbing things. Just a few days ago, she said that when she thinks about the Holocaust, she gets kind of a calming feeling. A calming feeling? How very, very odd. Thinking about the Holocaust makes most people feel scared, angry, puzzled, or at least curious to learn more. But calm? Who looks at photos of Auschwitz and thinks, I've got a peaceful, easy feeling? Jews and Gentiles express their anger at Tlaib, or at least unusual and likely outrageous remarks. Amid all of this controversy, how did Nancy Pelosi and the Democrat leadership discipline, or at least counsel Tlaib, if nothing else, to choose less painful words? Well, guess what, folks? Last Wednesday, they invited Congresswoman Tlaib to preside over the entire United States House of Representatives. That's right. On May 10th, she said the Holocaust gives her a kind of calming feeling. 5 days later, folks, Nancy Pelosi hands her the gavel and makes her the presiding officer of the entire U.S. House of Representatives. Translation, take that, Jews, for shame. I ask my Jewish brothers and sisters from coast to coast this simple question: why do you keep voting Democrat? And finally, we have the Democrat Congresswoman from Minnesota, Ilhan Omar. Believe it or not, folks, Ilhan Omar makes AOC look like Margaret Thatcher. Congresswoman Omar was born in Mogadishu, Somalia. Her family fled the chaos there and spent 4 long years, in a Kenyan refugee camp. America opened her arms to Omar and her family. She eventually became a state representative in Minnesota in November 2016, and just 2 years later, she was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. Wow, talk about living the American dream. Surely Congresswoman Omar speaks with gratitude and love about this generous nation and all that it has done for her as it has done for others in distress. Well, not quite. Instead, Congresswoman Omar attacks America as the root cause of the massive problems destroying Venezuela. You could have fooled me. I think Venezuela is imploding thanks to one big, very bad idea: socialism. Representative Omar's anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli comments are truly disturbing. She said, and I quote, "Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel." Shameful. Omar speaks as if Jews have the power to put people into an hypnotic trance. There goes the billboard, by the way, right there. Right there. Beautiful thing, isn't it? Take a look. Congresswoman Omar also has referred to the September 11th attacks and said, some people did something. Horrible.
Yeah,
some people did something. Really? Congresswoman Omar, here's the something that Al-Qaeda terrorists perpetrated. They murdered my cousin. They murdered my neighbor down the hall in my apartment building. They murdered 12 New York City firefighters at the Ladder 13 firehouse around the corner from where I live. And they murdered some 2,977 people in a vicious and brutal atrocity fueled by Islamic extremism. That's what happened, Congresswoman Omar, not just a little something. Finally, Ilhan Omar was caught on tape laughing about how people tense up and get serious when they say the words Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah. But you know, she kept laughing. You don't say America with an intensity. You don't say England with the intensity. You don't say the army with the intensity. Shameful. Al-Qaeda is no laughing matter. There's nothing funny about Hezbollah. And now Representative Omar is on the House Foreign Relations Committee with access to classified data. No one who finds Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah worthy of knee-slapping laughs belongs in Congress, much less on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. That is no place for her.
She's gonna burn in hell!
Congresswoman Omar should be kicked off of the House Foreign Affairs Committee immediately.
She's gonna burn in hell! Kick her out! Kick her out!
Kick her off! Kick her off!
Kick her out! 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 Kick her out!
Now, come November 2020, let's send Ilhan Omar back to Minnesota, where she no longer will be a clear and present danger to American national security. Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes, and in the winter, most of them freeze over solid. Here's an interesting fact about Ilhan Omar. She apparently likes ice fishing. So let's make a deal with Ilhan Omar. If she goes back to Minnesota and promises to stick to ice fishing, we'll all buy her a brand new fishing rod. Thank you very much.
Murdock, he's a conservative journalist.
Thank you, Del. Thank you, Del. Roy Murdock, Fox News commentator, radio personality. I want to tell you who's going to be speaking tonight. We have Kevin McCullough, 970 AM, The Answer Radio, a real good friend. Dov Hikind, legendary New York State Assemblyman and founder of Americans Against Anti-Semitism. We have Joe O'Connor, author of Shattered Lives. Rabbi Aryeh Spero, fantastic speaker. Curtis Sliwa.
Keep America great.
You heard from Allan Schartz. We have Cindy Gross, author, columnist. Laurie Regan, New York chapter president and board member of Endowment for Middle East Truth, and treasurer and board member of Scholars for Peace in the Middle East. I'm going to introduce her now. Laurie Regan, can you come up, please? Let's give her a big hand.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm carrying this Welcome Zionist flag that was held by Israelis at the airport as they welcomed Jews who arrived in the early part of the 20th century as they made their way to their ancestral and God-given homeland, well before the Holocaust. Rashida Tlaib would have you believe that there were no Jews in Israel prior to her people letting them in. But I'm pretty confident that there were no Arabs in Israel holding welcome Zionist flags in that part of the last century. Just as I'm fairly certain that there won't be any in this century. What the hateful, lying Tlaib would like us to do is to rewrite history. But frighteningly, the hateful Ilhan Omar would like to repeat it. While Tlaib ignores the fact that Arabs were working directly with Hitler to exterminate Jews, Omar perpetuates the same anti-Semitic memes and propaganda that Hitler used to get Germans and other Europeans to exterminate Europe's Jews. Tlaib and Omar are intentionally mainstreaming anti-Semitic memes, just as Hitler did in the lead up to World War II through the promulgation of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And their goal is to marginalize Jews in America. We will not let them. Both of these haters would like to replace Israel with a Palestinian state from the river to the sea, as we know from Tlaib's map in her office where she covered Israel with a poster reading Palestine. We will not allow these women to rewrite history, and we certainly will not allow them to repeat history. But here's the problem. We all can scream and yell about Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Keith Ellison, Louis Farrakhan, Linda Sarsour, Al Sharpton, and so many other anti-Semites that make up what is quickly becoming the mainstream of the Democrat Party, and certainly the progressive movement. But the real purveyors of the growing anti-Semitism problem that we have in this country are those like Nancy Pelosi, who elevate them to high positions. Boo! And statements. Boo! The mainstream media who promulgate false narratives and fake news that demonizes Israel and the Jewish people. Boo! College administrators and faculty members who not just support the anti-Semitic members of Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voices for Peace, indoctrinate our children, leading to generations growing up to hate Israel and its people, while supporting terrorists and provide safe haven spaces to everyone under the sun except for Jews. But also every single American citizen, including many of our own Jewish friends and family, who vote these haters into office. So let's be realistic. Omar, Tlaib, Farrakhan, Sarsour, they're all cut from the same anti-Semitic cloth, and they will not wake up one day with an epiphany suddenly coming to their senses. They're also all cut from the same America-hating cloth. As one journalist recognized, Omar is an extraordinarily ungrateful refugee. Her heart is full of hate. And while it is difficult to fathom an elected official taking some of the anti-American positions that Omar has, it is even more difficult to comprehend the Democrat Party and leadership rallying behind her. And while we cannot necessarily stop haters from being elected to Congress, we can certainly work to stop them from being elevated to positions on important committees, receiving classified information that may impact our national security. And believe me, Israel is an integral part of our national security, a strategic asset to our national security, and forever our friend. So let's be realistic about one more thing. The only people who have dual loyalty are Tlaib and Omar, and having them sit in Congress at all, let alone privy to classified information, is a threat to this nation's national security. Omar and Tlaib, traffickers in lies, hate, and conspiracy theories that demonize Jews and Americans, are sadly merely the symptom of a much larger problem. The people we should be focusing our attention on are the people who have elevated these hateful individuals to positions of power and influence. For anyone who still votes for Schumer, Gillibrand, Pelosi, or any other Democrat who has remained silent since these anti-Semites stepped foot in Congress, the People's House, I have to say, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. For anyone who still donates money to Emory University, NYU, Duke, or any other learning institution that allows SJP to terrorize its Jewish students, shame on you. For any other Jew out there who still pays for a New York Times subscription, shame on you. American Jews, beware. Take a look at what's going on in Europe and know that we are just a few years behind. We now have our own Jeremy Corbyn problem, as our Congress has been invaded by the worst form of haters known to mankind. And we know from history, not from the rewritten kind, that what begins with the Jews never ends with the Jews. But we can't just say words, we need to act, because never again has to have meaning. We need to let the world know that never again will Arabs control Jerusalem and the world's most important religious sites, most sacred to the Jewish people, that we will fight until the death of every Jew the world over to ensure that we protect Israel. Never again will we allow Arabs to stand on the Golan Heights raining rockets and gunfire on the Jews below. No matter how hard Tlaib and Omar and others like them pray, never again will we allow entire populations of Jews to be marched like cattle onto trains and taken to concentration camps, equipped with gas chambers and ovens, something that actually occurred across civilized Europe in the 20th century. And never again will we tolerate anti-Semitism in our newspapers, learning institutions, and certainly not in our halls of Congress. We, the people of the greatest civilization in the history of mankind, which was founded on Judeo-Christian values, will not tolerate Jew hatred, whether it comes from a woman in a hijab, a woman wrapped in a Palestinian flag, or printed as a cartoon in the New York Times. We will not tolerate our national security being risked because Nancy Pelosi woke up one day and decided that freshman Jew haters were the flavor of the congressional term. So no, Rashida Tlaib, you will not rewrite history. Ilhan Omar, you ungrateful refugee, you will not have an opportunity to repeat history. And the Democrat leadership better get its act together. It can say goodbye to more congressional seats in 2020, because when we say never again, we mean never again. God bless America, and Am Yisrael Chai.
Why don't you run?
Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai.
I just want to, we were lucky, we were fortunate enough, we invited Ted Cruz. He had a scheduling conflict because Congress is in session, but he did send us a statement that he asked me to read. From Senator Ted Cruz, one of Israel's and America's best friends. The anti-Semitic left is getting worse. Forms and tactics of anti-Semitism going back centuries are again finding mainstream acceptance, from dual loyalty canards to attacks on the livelihood of Jews, including in the form of boycotts against Jewish businesses. I've long called on responsible Democrats to condemn and respond to the growing tide, but the House hasn't even been able to pass a resolution solely criticizing anti-Semitism as the unique form of prejudice. Senator Kaine and I recently introduced such a resolution in the Senate, and today it has the support of over half the Senate. We must all be unapologetic about condemning anti-Semitism.
Yes.
Enough's enough.
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Laurie Regan. Endowment for Middle East Truth. We're really fortunate tonight. We have some really special speakers. You've heard from Rabbi Schwartz of Ohab Zedek. We have Rabbi Aryeh Spero, President of Caucus for America.
Yes.
You've heard him on radio, television. He's really a brilliant mind, a brilliant speaker. Rabbi Spero, please join me on stage.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you all for coming. And thank you to Joe Diamond and to Richard Allen for making sure that this rally was as good as it has been. And it's up to all of us, we in the grassroots, to make sure that people like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and all of those people who want to foment anti-Semitism, it's up to us in the grassroots to stop it, and we let people know who are in power that we will not stand by and let this happen.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This all started when we went to Nancy Pelosi's office about 2 months ago, and we had a sit-in. We protested the speaker for not being willing to condemn the blatant, obvious anti-Semitism of Ilhan Omar. She sits also at the behest of Nancy Pelosi on the Armed Services Committee, which has intelligence and involves the most important and strategic material involving the safety of the United States. Ilhan Omar does not like the United States.
Right.
She despises the United States. She has said that the United States is a racist country. It's a hateful country. If so, Ilhan, why are you here?
Yes.
Go back to Somalia. Ilhan Omar says that America was built on slavery and genocide. We gave her asylum. She's ungrateful. She's an ingrate. If it's so bad, Ilhan, go back to Somalia. You should kiss the ground of the United States of America, Ilhan. We brought you in. We gave you asylum. Now, this is not all of a coincidence. Ilhan Omar has an agenda. She's not just another liberal. She's not just another leftist. She has an agenda. She's a member of CARE, which is involved with the Muslim Brotherhood. Ilhan Omar wants the American people to despise their own country. She wants to demoralize the American people so that we will bring into America her cherished socialism and her Sharia law. Ilhan Omar, go back to where there's Sharia law. Don't bring it here. My question to the Democrat Party is, and to all of Americans, when Ilhan Omar comes and says their country is hateful and racist, where is your pride? Why do you reward a person who trashes America with being on the committee of the House Armed Services Committee? Why do you do that? Where is your pride? I'd like to leave tonight by asking the following question. There are in the Congress over 35 Jewish representatives between the Senate and the House. 35 Jewish representatives. Where are you? Why are you hiding? We need you to stand up and do the job that the moment of history calls for now. But you're hiding. I guarantee you that if there'd be a representative who would be condemning and demonizing
black people or Islamic people, you Jewish representatives would be in the forefront to ouster. But when it comes to someone who's anti-Semitic, who's demonizing your people, you're hiding, you're quiet. You are putting your ambition and your party loyalty above your obligation to this country and to the Jewish people. So to Chucky Schumer and to Adam Schiff and to Jerry Nadler downtown and to all of you, why are you hiding? Why are you hiding? Why are you hiding? When we say never again, it's not simply never again from a Nazi. It can be never again from a minority. We say never again from anyone who wants to kill the Jewish people. Be it a white Nazi, or be it a Muslim, or a black person, never again is never again. Jewish representatives, all 35, stand up, do your job, act like a Jew, act like an American, stop hiding!
Thank you, Aryeh Spero, Caucus for America. Our next speaker really understands terrorism. His father was killed in a terrorist attack at Francis Tavern. He's the author of a book called Shattered Lives, Overcoming the Francis Tavern Terror. Let's give a hearty welcome to Joe Connor.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's tough to follow the rabbi, but I'll do my best here. My name is Joe Connor, and my family's forever affected by 2 terrorist attacks and the horrendous aftermath of politicization and capitulation to evil. Some people did something on 9/11. These words alone should be enough for her constituents to vote Omar out of office, let alone her being on the prestigious Foreign Affairs Committee. On 9/11/01, having just commuted with my brother through the World Trade Center as I did every day for exactly 13 years, I instinctively yelled a bomb when I saw the North Tower explode in a fireball of steel and flames and smoke. I watched in horror from my from my desk on the 36th floor of 60 Wall Street as papers that were so much like mine that were on my desk were floating in the wind of all the victims. And then I saw specks choosing to fall 1,000 feet rather than to burn alive in the hell that the terrorists created at the World Trade Center. I immediately picked up the phone and called my cousin Steve. He was a bond trader at Cantor Fitzgerald on the 104th floor of the North Tower. I left him a message, Schlag, I hope you're not in today, and I prayed he wasn't there. Well, some of Steve's remains were found right around Christmas that year, but unfortunately, so many others will never be found. I then called home. It was my kid's first day of pre-K that year, and coincidentally, my son graduated from college just this weekend. I finally got through my brother at about 9 o'clock, and as I was on the phone with him, the South Tower exploded in my face. We knew it was terrorism, and I planned to meet him down on Water Street. You see, I didn't want to die that day at my desk the way Steve did, or the way my father was murdered at work a decade before. My father was Steve's godfather, and he was eating lunch at historic Francis Tavern when the FALN terrorists walked a bomb in and placed it behind his table. We were going to be celebrating my 9th birthday and my brother's 11th that very night, and he never came home. I was only blocks from Francis that day, and only blocks from the World Trade Center. And now I think of Omar's dismissive words, her vile words about some people did something on 9/11. And I reflect on what we and other victims' families have had to face and overcome over the years. One is the injustice of the Clinton, Eric Holder clemency, politically driven clemency, to the FALN murderers of my father. Another is the Obama clemency to Oscar Lopez Rivera in his last days in office, releasing a sworn terrorist who turned down freedom in the past. I think of the Democrats just that year trying to give him a Freedom Hero Award at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. He was a Marxist. He wanted to subjugate Puerto Rico into another Cuba, yet the Democrat Party was giving him a Freedom Hero Award. We stopped it, thank God. I think of the Obama administration betraying both the United States and Israel by capitulating to Iran and to Cuba, where FALN fugitives Victor Guerrera and bomb maker William Morales remain, along with cop killer Joanne Chesimard. They received safe haven in Cuba, where the Obama administration opened ties. I think of facing the lying sociopath Oscar Lopez at his 2011 parole hearing in Terre Haute, Indiana, across a small table. And then in Guantanamo Bay in 2016, facing the sneering, pure evil of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed as he taunted and laughed at the children who were in the visitors gallery with me while the pre-trials were going on. Omar's virulent anti-Semitism shows through in her dismissal of the 9/11 murders. For anti-Semitism is a symptom of hate. It's irrationality, and it's of someone who willingly distorts the history for their goals. Simply, Omar will never defend America, and she'll obviously never defend Israel. When Omar dismisses the murder and carnage on 9/11, as some people doing something, she dismisses and she insults those who gave their lives that day and sets the stage for more capitulation to evil. We cannot have this person on any committee, let alone such an important one. Representative Omar must be immediately removed from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Immediately, Nancy Pelosi, take her away. Thank you.
Joe Connor, author of Shattered Lives, Overcoming the Francis Tavern Terror. Thank you very much. I want to, I want to tell everyone and let you know who the partner organizations are that are sponsoring this tonight. Americans for a Safe Israel, AFSI, JCCWatch.org, B'nai Zion Foundation, National Conference of Jewish Affairs, Israel Independence Fund, Simon Wiesenthal Center, Mothers Against Terrorism, Proclaiming Justice to the Nations, PJTN, Endowment for Middle East Truth, Emmett, Zionist Organization of America, ZOA, Americans Against Terrorism, American Friends of Atirat Kohanim, Jerusalem Chai, United with Israel, and StopAntiSemitism.org. We're really fortunate. We're really fortunate. We have Dov Hikind, legendary New York State Assemblyman and founder of Americans Against Anti-Semitism. Dov, thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for putting anti-Semitism and how Jews are being attacked throughout New York on the front pages.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody back there. I just want you to know I'm their favorite. They love me the most. 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 Everybody, first of all the way back there, our clear message. Omar not belong on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Omar must go. Everybody, Omar must go. Can't hear ya. Omar must go. Omar must go. Omar must go. Omar must go. By the way, there's a billboard. Everybody watch. Right over there. Ilhan must go. She must go. Watch that billboard. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, wait, I'm not done yet. Wait. Again, everybody back there. Omar, you know, the issue with Omar has nothing to do with Zionism. Omar is an anti-Semite. That's the issue. Omar is an anti-Semite. If you look at the things that she has done, the things that she has said, you know, back in 2012, you know, we have it on record. You know what she said about the Jewish people? You know what she said about each and every one of you? She said that we hypnotize the world. We hypnotize the world. By the way, those are the things that Goebbels said in Nazi Germany, that the Jews hypnotize the world. You know, Goebbels, Nazi Germany, they spoke about Jewish power, Jewish control, controlling the media, controlling the banks in Nazi Germany. That's what Omar has done in the United States Congress, and at the very least, she must be removed from the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how do we do that? How do we accomplish that?
Don't vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, every Democrat in a district, there are many districts throughout the country, districts that President Trump won in 2016. The message to Democrats, you know, not the progressives and the liberals, they are lost. Forget about them. They are lost, the progressives. But there are other Democrats who are more moderate. If they do not support the removal of Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee, they must be defeated by Republicans in 2020. That is the only thing that they will understand. They must be defeated. By the way, there's a congressman right here in New York in a pretty conservative district, majority Republican. His name is Congressman Rose. Staten Island and a piece of Brooklyn, right? He has an opponent. Rose has not done the right thing. You know what he did after Omar made her remarks about the Benjamins? He went throughout the community and he went to synagogues and he apologized for what Omar did. That is not good enough. If Rose does not call for the removal of Omar, then he should be removed in 2020. Okay, help me out. Omar must go. Come on. Louder! Ladies and gentlemen, we have a serious situation. By the way, anti-Semitism is out of control. You know the numbers. You see the numbers.
And by the way, many of the attacks that are happening in New York, guess who the targets are?
Guess who the targets are in New York? Those guys with the beards. They are the targets. Being attacked as Jews. And ladies and gentlemen, why is anti-Semitism out of control? Yeah, we have a problem on the white supremacists. They need to be condemned. They need to be ostracized at every opportunity. No question about it. But what in God's name is going on in the Democratic Party? What is going on when anti-Semitism is out of control and the Democratic Party is silent? You know, Nancy Pelosi told us after Omar indulged in vile anti-Semitism, she said tomorrow, we are going to pass a resolution condemning Omar. Tomorrow. That tomorrow never ever came. Days later, they did a resolution that was a farce. It was an insult to the Jewish people, and it was an insult to the people of the United States of America. Shame on Pelosi. Shame on Pelosi. Shame. Come on. Shame on Pelosi. Shame on Pelosi. By the way, the only thing Nancy Pelosi cares about, she doesn't care about what's right, fighting anti-Semitism, Jews getting beaten up because they are Jews, physical assaults happening every single day. Things are out of control. She doesn't care. The only thing Nancy Pelosi cares about is to continue in the majority. Well, let me tell you something. In 2020, Nancy Pelosi will not be the majority leader of the Congress. She will not be the majority leader. Here, listen to this. This is the Speaker of the Congress. Listen to this joke, this insult. Listen to this. Nancy Pelosi. By the way, you can all feel very relaxed. You don't have to get excited. You don't have to get emotional. You don't have to worry. Listen what Nancy Pelosi says. Ilhan Omar is not anti-Semitic. Okay, you feel better? And let me tell you what else she says. There is no taint of anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party. Lie! 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 She is lying. And let me tell you something else. You know, Omar is very, very concerned. She's concerned about the Middle East. But you know what? She loves Cuba, by the way. She loves Cuba. She's in love with Cuba. Let me tell you who else she loves. And I think we should have a moment of feeling the pain of the people of Venezuela. We should feel the pain. Our member of Congress has criticized our administration for trying to defend the people of this country who are starving. And Congresswoman Omar is on the side of this butcher Maduro. My God. So ladies and gentlemen, today is only one moment. One moment. And God bless you for being here. There is so much more to be done. And ladies and gentlemen, to me, it's not about Democrat, Republican. It's about doing the right thing. And today, the Democratic Party should be ashamed of themselves. They should be ashamed of themselves. So we have to continue the fight. And ladies and gentlemen, in June, and I'm looking forward to this. We're going to visit the home. You know, every Sunday, for the last 20 years, every Sunday, Chucky Schumer has a press conference on Sunday. You mentioned the issue. On Sunday, there's a press conference. Yesterday, there was a press conference. Next week, there'll be a press conference. Schumer is interested in the well-being of the American people. But Schumer, who claims to be the Shomer, doesn't give a crap about the Jewish people. Shame on Schumer! Shame on Schumer! Shame on Schumer!
Shame on Schumer!
Let me hear it! Shame on Schumer! Shame!
Shame on Schumer! He's a Schumer!
There's a Sunday. Let me tell you what I'm looking forward to. Let me tell you what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to going to Chuck Schumer's home in Brooklyn. I'm not going to yell at him. He, for 20 years, he's been telling people he's the Shomer, the watcher. That's what Shomer means. I am going to his home. Who's going to join me at Chuck Schumer's home? I want to see every one of you on a Sunday in the morning. We are going to drive Schumer nuts. Nuts. And we're going to demand that he act, that he speak out, and that he stand up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you, by the way, in particular, for a woman who is sitting to the right of me. She is a great woman. She's always there. She's always been there. Helen Friedman, everybody. Let's hear it for her. And for the people across the street who show such love for me. Right, guys? You love me, right? You love me. You love me. You see this? They love me. By the way, I want to tell you something. They all work for the Mossad. Don't tell anybody. Thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Israel. And God bless the greatest country in the world, the United States of America.
Dov Hikind, thank you very much.
She's gonna burn in hell. On to Washington. On to Washington. Next to Washington. Next to Washington.
Okay, the next speaker, you're going to love this. The next speaker is Kevin McCullough, the most popular radio personality on 970 AM, The Answer. He has an incredible show, also on WMCA, Christian Broadcasting Network, Salem Broadcasting. They absolutely love Israel. Kevin and Salem Broadcasting has been with us for many, many years, working with us. Every time we have a rally, they've supported us. Let's give a really big welcome to Kevin McCullough.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Dov. Wonderful comments. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking time out of your Monday to come to Times Square, the busiest intersection on planet Earth, for what may be a window in one of the most important windows of history of the times in which we live. Because never before have so many free people been confronted with such blatant evil to their face, only to see more free people fall asleep and ignore it. The time has come where that ignoring of evil can no longer be withstood. When Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, all of them, by the way, very good friends with that residual terrorist in our land, Linda Sarsour. When all of them get together and they make and hatch their plans about what they will say to the American people, it is always indicative of several similar traits. Number one, they nearly always take the side opposite of America. Let me repeat that. These four individuals almost always take the side that is opposite of America. Number two, they nearly always, in unison, take the side that injures Israel and the Jewish homeland. Number three, they always side with our enemies. Can Can you believe that we now have sitting members of Congress who have gone to federal courts and asked for leniency for members of ISIS and terrorist groups like them? I'm not quite sure, friends, how we elect such people in the land of the free and the home of the brave, but I have to trust that Minnesota will deal with Minnesota's business. But the reason we gather here tonight is to ask the Speaker of the House, third in line for the presidency, the most important and highest elected woman in America, to do her job and represent all of America and remove Ilhan Omar from the Foreign Affairs Committee immediately. At 5 o'clock this evening, a great patriot by the name of Congressman Lee Zeldin was on with me here in New York Radio, and we were talking about not just this issue, but the issue that we are now facing with a weaponized and emboldened and empowered Iranian state. You may have noticed that in the last few days, they've taken great care to notice that our carrier has moved into their neighborhood.
That's right, that's right.
They better damn well be aware that our carrier is in their neighborhood. Because if we understand that you have terrorist intention against America or our allies, specifically our most valued ally in the state of Israel, as President Trump said today, there will be no more Iran. But let me explain to you why that's so important. Because a number of weeks ago, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar decided to side with the Iranian regime, not with the Iranian people. The Iranian people want democracy and representation and freedom.
It's true.
But the cowards that control the regime in Iran have a different agenda.
Right.
And Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar have sided with those cowards that run that regime. Why does this American, why does this evangelical Christian stand with Israel, stand with all of us gathered here tonight, and stand with our president? Real simple. 2 nights ago, my brother-in-law got off the USS Stennis. He just completed a 9-month tour on one of the largest aircraft carriers in our fleet. Part of his assignment on that tour was to fly very dangerous missions across some of these areas. He happens to be in surveillance. He happens to be in intelligence. He happens to be one of those guys that has his eyes on our enemy when nobody else thinks we are. We're thankful that he's there. We need him there. And God bless him for being there. But as he came off the carrier, I saw him run to his daughter, who was only a couple of weeks old when he left, only a few months old now, that it's nearly a year later. And to see that young daughter run to her father and embrace her, I was reminded again of the sacrifice that America makes on the world stage, not just to keep our own freedom free, but to protect our free allies like the state of Israel, to protect our allies in the Middle East who want freedom, who have not yet experienced it. And friends, if we allow our Foreign Affairs Committee to become polluted with the ideals and the ideology of terrorism, if we allow our Foreign Affairs Committee in the House that represents we the people to become infected with this disease, that freedom is bad and that America is not worth celebrating and that we must side with the terrorists. Friends, if we allow our Foreign Affairs Committee to do that, we will lose America. That's why Representative Zeldin said on my show at the top of the 5 o'clock hour, and I asked him, can you come and join us tonight in Times Square? He was leaving New York to go back to D.C. He, like Senator Cruz, had to cast votes tonight, so he's there casting. He's not abdicating his responsibility like so many senators from New York who are running for president are abdicating their responsibility right now. He decided to stand and make his votes, but he said, Kevin, tell them this. Tell them not to give up the fight. Fight. Fight, fight, step up, speak out, never shut up, keep fighting. God bless you, God bless Israel, and God bless the United States of America.
Kevin McCullough, thank you very, very much. Kevin, thank you very much. You know, we're here at the crossroads of the world, Times Square, thousands of people in these tall towers, the lights are on, and to hear Kevin McCullough tell the truth about what's happening in America and what this Congresswoman is doing, it's really refreshing. Okay, we have Judy Kadish, Americans for a Safe Israel. She's going to be coming on in a moment. We're going to have We're going to have Cindy Gross first. Cindy's a great friend, best-selling author. She's one of the movers and shakers in New York, makes things happen, columnist, broadcaster. Let's give a big welcome to Cindy Gross.
Thank you for that great introduction. People, I'm going to give you an assignment when you leave here.
We're ready.
How do we get here? It didn't start 6 months ago or on Election Day, November 2016. While we are here today to stop Omar, and this is a nonpartisan gathering, let's face it, we are living during the best of times and the worst of times. And Omar is a political issue. We have a president who recognizes Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, and an administration calling the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas terrorists. I could not be more prouder than to stand here in front of you to tell you I'm working on the National Diversity Coalition for Trump and as a New York State Director of Women for Trump with 2020. On the other hand, even at their best, Democrats today, even Joe Biden, have voting records that are not in the best interest of Jews. His go back to his early Senate days. Last week, I attended a beautiful congressional lunch celebrating Jewish Heritage Week in D.C. Not one of the almost 24 Democratic senators or congressmen had the nerve to mention the 3 freshman women calling out all this hate and leading the hate against Israel and the Jewish people. Don't be fooled!
Don't be fooled! Don't be fooled!
How did Omar get here? And how did she get into Congress? People, we don't pay enough attention to where the anti-Israel Jewish hate starts in our own local governments and in our local school districts.
Come on, that's true.
New York City just elected a councilwoman last week with ties to Linda Sarsour and who tweeted, "Jews are annoying," with the blessings of the Orthodox Jewish community in Brooklyn. Our Queens Jewish leadership co-sponsored a gathering with CARE last April, and we stayed silent. And one of our local Manhattan GOP clubs elected a new president who videotaped a speech, and he said that he advised the neo-Nazi party in Europe last year. Many of you have been following my columns where I have exposed alt-right Jewish hate in social media and from the rogue so-called Republican, Tea Party, and patriotic groups in Queens. Because so many among you don't know what's going on, they are quickly spreading into Brooklyn and Suffolk County. Luckily, I have the support of the Queens GOP leadership behind me and who won major court battles against all of them. And as you all heard today, breaking news, we are going to have a new state leader based on the reports starting tomorrow. And I wonder if it's any coincidence that Ed Cox is no longer the New York State GOP leader when he supported some of these rogue groups. Don't be afraid to call out wannabes. They offer little money, votes, and voice to our causes. They also don't represent our president or the policies of his amazing administration.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
How do we get here? We need to look no further than yesterday's New York Post headline, "Wiped Out," and the New York Board of Education and Teachers Union's policies of racist, anti-Semitic hiring and firing practices. This has been going on for over a decade.
More than that, yes.
You better believe it.
Our school's curriculum, starting in pre-K, promotes inaccurate historical facts about Israel and Jews, fuzzy math, illiteracy in the English language, and we are developing a generation of frustrated students looking for dependency, and the survival of within our government. And it's not any different in the yeshivas, and it's all with your tax dollars.
The 3 Muslim kids.
My work is just beginning, and so is yours.
Yes.
On a side note, please say thank you to our president for his support of Israel and American Jewish people. By attending one of the 2 birthday parties in New York and DC in June, where a huge Jewish group will be participating. I'm Yisrael Chai. Thank you, and God bless Israel, and God bless America.
Cindy Gross, thank you very much.
I'm Israel. Hi. I'm Israel. Hi. I'm Israel. I'm Israel. I'm Israel. Hi. I'm Israel. Hi.
I'm Yisrael Chai. Okay. First we have, let me just mention a few things. We have David Ben-Horon, who's the publisher of The Jewish Voice, a great friend that has done lots of great work. David, thank you very much for being here. We have Liz Burney, head of special projects for the Zionist Organization of America. They're running in the World Zionist Congress, very important, because the leftists are trying to take control of Jewish organizations. Get organized, get behind the ZOA slate. Many organizations are right behind the ZOA slate. They're running in unison because we cannot allow these leftist organizations to take over the World Zionist Conference. Very important. Also, she's done a study on Ilhan Omar, where she's getting her money from. Check it out at the ZOA website. Amazing what she's uncovered. All the groups that are associated with bad things financing her. So it's very, very important. Thank you very much, Liz. Okay, our next speaker is, the election dates. The election dates for the World Zionist Congress is January 21st to March 11th. So you can't say you're busy that day because it's quite a while. 2020, correct. So it's online and you can vote. So make sure you check it out and go to the ZOA website. You'll get all the information. Judy Kadish, Executive Director, along with Helen Friedman, of the Americans for a Safe Israel. They've been involved at every turn, never fails, always there. They're as constant as the sun. You can rely on them 100%. Judy, please come up.
Hi, it's so wonderful to see old friends, new friends. Make friends with the person next to you. This is something very important. We're all here for a really important cause. You know, AFSI has decided to partner with the Ilhan Omar Coalition. We were among the first to call for the removal of the terrible trio, Omar, Tlaib, and AOC, from the various House committees to which they were appointed so carelessly, so unreasonably, by Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy the pig.
It really looks like an attempt to undermine America as well as Jews, Christians, and Israel.
Yes.
These women are dangerous because they represent militant Islam, which is out to conquer the world. I'm not talking politics here. I'm talking learning, education, understanding. Militant Islam is not a political issue. They are out to conquer the world. Like weeds in a garden, they must be plucked out before they succeed in choking our democratic society.
Wake up! Wake up!
This is not even the beginning. It all started years ago, and very insidiously. It's creeping into our culture. Some people call it creeping Sharia. And we must stop it now.
Now, stop it
AFC will be there to stop it now. 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 Thank you very much. I'm Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, Judy Kadish, Executive Director, Americans for a Safe Israel. Thank you very much. You know, Ilhan Omar said U.S. politicians are being forced to pledge allegiance to Israel. These are the canards of Nazi Germany. She said Israel has hypnotized the world. Another canard of the Nazis. She said the relationship between the United States and Israel is all about the Benjamins.
That's right.
Well, Israel has spoke. It is about the Benjamin Netanyahu, who we will stand behind 100% and stand behind the state of Israel.
Love you, baby.
So, Ilhan, it is about the Benjamins, but not the ones you're thinking of.
That's right. All they know is
You know, she was condemned by Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, who said, accusing Jews of having allegiance to a foreign government has long been a vile anti-Semitic slur that has been used to harass, marginalize, and persecute the Jewish people for centuries. This is her. That's what she's trying to do. We have members of Congress. It's been talked about by the other speakers. Senator Gillibrand, Charles Schumer, Jerry Nadler. You know, this isn't about Republicans or Democrats. We have all types. We had everyone, a Republican, a Democrat, on the stage. Dov Hikind is a Democrat his whole life. And he spoke against what these politicians are failing to do in the Democrat Party. And Jerry Nadler, there's a special place in hell for Jerry Nadler. A special place in hell for a man who voted to give billions to Iran. Billions to destroy the Jewish people. And for those who take money and do the bidding for Iran, and by the way, they're right across the street. It's known if they do it now, they'll be arrested. But when they did it a few years ago, it was okay. But there's a special place in hell for Jerry Nadler for telling us lies, telling us he's doing it for our own good, telling us not to worry, while Iran is going to plan, or it was planning, for another Holocaust. They said it. Believe them. Jerry Nadler, you need to go also. Vice President Pence called for Ilhan Omar's removal from the House of Foreign Affairs. I want to quote from him. Anti-Semitism has no place in the Congress of the United States of America. The people of Minnesota will decide whether or not she remains in Congress. But Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has no place on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. No place. Vice President Pence, we agree with you. Fully.
Fully.
Well, Dov Hikind has done incredible work. But I have to tell you, what Ilhan Omar is doing has repercussions. It has repercussions on the streets of Brooklyn.
Yes, it does.
Hasidic teens were harassed with calls of Allahu Akbar and we love Hitler. Jews are being sucker punched on the streets of Brooklyn for looking Jewish. Her rhetoric is evil
She's gonna burn
her rhetoric is the cause of growing anti-Semitism. And Dov Hikind, we have to thank you for all that you're doing and bringing this to everyone's attention. Because the media, the fake media, is not reporting it as it's happening. Okay, the next person we're going to have to speak is Charles Bernhardt. He's a veteran Jewish activist. He's Charlie has been with us. I can't even say how many years, but I will say this. You see all the great handmade signs at every demonstration? That's Charlie. Let's give him a really big welcome.
Thank you, Richard. In 1938, Mordechai Gebertig wrote a song called Es Brent. It foretold the coming of the Holocaust. And in the song, he talks about standing with verlegte Hand, folded arms, and kickazois, just looking. Okay, this is going to be a selection sung by Jan Pierce as Brent.
Es brennt, oi unser Ohren Städteln brennt. Diese Kisten mit Ragosen reißen, brechen zu blosen, starker noch die wilde Flammen, als Rumschein brennt. Und ihr steht kickt das sich mit verlegte Hand.
Folded arms.
Und ihr steht kickt das sich unser Städtes
Brand. Okay, that's an incredible song as Brent. And the lesson there, we're not in 1938 right now. We're in 1930s, 31 or 32. It's not too late. And we are at a war. You know, we are really at a war. And we have to be prepared. So please join with me in just saying, remove Omar. Remove Omar. Remove Omar. Remove Omar. We will not be silent. 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 Hear our voices. Hear our voices. Hear our voices. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you at further demonstrations. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, and stay strong. Stay strong.
Okay. Now the MC is going to be taken over by Joe Diamond. I appreciate everyone, your enthusiasm, how you came out. I see we have Kenny Friedman coming from Florida all the way. Thank you very much, Kenny. I know there's people coming from as far away as Memphis, Tennessee.
Hey, buddy. Can we sing a TikTok?
How you doing? Joe will take care of that. Okay, thank you all very much. Here's Joe Diamond. Give him a great big hand.
Thank you. Actually, I'd like to give the mic to Phyllis Chester, who many of you know. Phyllis, please say something.
Hello, Yidden. All right, listen, one thing. Look at our power. The Neturei Karta. I have never seen so many Neturei Karta, not even at the Israel Day Parade. The reason they're here in full force is because our warships are in the Persian Gulf, and they are on the Iranian payroll. payroll, and they have been organized to come here. You should know the measure of your power by the strength of your opposition. Mazel tov.
Okay, we have one more speaker to come up, but he's a big one. But I want to say a few things before that. We need you people to do something. We need everybody here to do something after this is over. This is only the beginning. Ilhan Omar is not leaving that committee tonight. We're going to get up tomorrow morning. She is still going to be there. This is a movement. We have to keep this thing rolling. It's going to take about 4 to 5 to about 6 months, I estimate, but she will go. But I need to ask you something. How many people here are on Twitter? Okay, so we have some social media people. From now on, anything you ever put up on Twitter, I don't care if it's about your dog or it's about your garden or it's about this or about that, always end it with the hashtag Ilhan must go. Sign off everything with that hashtag. We need to make this thing ubiquitous around the world. Thank you. And now I'm going to bring up, to bring everything home, the legendary, the amazing, one of the greatest New Yorkers I've ever known in my life, Curtis Sliwa.
Thank you. Let's have a great round of applause for Joe Diamond here for putting this all together. You know, Joe, we come full circle. It's been many, many, many years. And as we get older, it seems the same problems emerge. So although Ilhan Omar has brought us here today, let's be honest, she's had mentors that she's followed in the footsteps of. Long before she was able to come to America, through the good graciousness of all of us accepting refugees from war-torn countries like her own Somalia, where it's a patriarchal society, where women are treated as second-class citizens, abused, not even entitled to speak or have their words heard. She was brought to Minneapolis, and the generosity of America provided her with food and clothing, her family, her friends, her fellow tribesmen, because there it's all warlords. Eventually to the point that she could acquire an education and run in the democratic process and represent a sizable part of Minnesota. That is the American dream, and she has benefited from that. But long ago, she also looked at the roadmap, because there's been a roadmap of anti-Semitism. And she's followed the course because she uses verbal tricknology. She takes one step forward, she says, "Oh, I didn't really mean that." 2 steps backwards, and then sticks it right in your face. She's an educated woman. She knows exactly what she's saying. She understands the history of anti-Semitism. She understands that she has become a modern-day New Jack Messenger who is coming on the heels of others. Do you realize that on this very day in Washington, D.C., a group of Reformed Jews are accepting Al Slim Shady Sharpton into their bosom? They're embracing him. Now, if you were Ilhan Omar and you say, wait a second, wasn't he an anti-Semite in Crown Heights, wasn't he? Yes. Wasn't he an anti-Semite when it came to Freddy's in Harlem? And didn't he commit the biggest shund of all time with Tawana Brawley in upstate New York? And he was forgiven 3 times. Never once did he apologize. And there are 23 candidates for president who are crawling up to meet him at Sylvia's, to seek his blessing, to kiss his pinky ring and his big tuchus. Now tell me that's not a double disgrazia. And if you were Ilhan Omar and you watched that, you'd say, I can't believe the guy survived that. Now he's a kingmaker. But which marker of the Jewish people has remained silent, has been impotent? The schmuck. Oh no. Let me not say that. I'll be accused of being an anti-Semite as a Gentile. Let me double down. That putz, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer. Minneapolis. Your congressman at the time is Keith Ellison, follower of Screwy Louis Farrakhan, one of the worst anti-Semites in the history of America. And it was the schmuck, the putz, Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, who wanted Keith Ellison to be the head of the DNC, along with the other wannabe Jew, Bernie the Alta Sanders. Remember that? But the Gentile Democrats said no. The two big markers said yes. Let's anoint Keith Ellison, friend of Screwy Louis Farrakhan, to be the head of the DNC. So if you're Ilhan Omar, you think, wow, they let anybody into this partying group. And so she pushes her agenda. But it's not just her. It's the history and the scourge of anti-Semitism. On Saturday, I was in College Point. I stopped in a Yemenite grocery store. I asked the man behind the counter, were you from the north or the south? Were you there when the royalists were battling the communists years ago? Whose side would you be on today? He said, look, you know the Jews started this in Yemen. I said, the Jews? All I've ever known the Jews to do is to rescue the few remaining Yemenite Jews who still live there. What the hell do the Jews have to do in a war that's really between Saudi Arabia, the House of Fraud, and the Ayatollahs with the shmatas on their heads in Tehran, in Iran? And then yesterday, I was outside the Marriott. There was a group of Chaldeans. They own grocery stores in Dearborn and Detroit, Michigan. Not an easy business. Chaldeans are Christian Iraqians. They're Assyrians. They assume I'm one of them because my last name, Sliwa, in Chaldean means crucifix. Whereas really it's Polish, Ukrainian, and as many of you know, Russian, it means plum. So they said to me, what would you rather be, a plum or a crucifix? Not a tough choice to pick. But then I said, oh, it must be great that you can return to Iraq, to the homeland of the Christian Iraqis. They say, you know, it had nothing to do with Shias and Sunnis. I said, don't tell me. The Jews were responsible for this. And they said yes. So the scourge and the disease of anti-Semitism has been historic. Look amongst us Christians. When the Protestants had the Reformation against the Catholics, what did Luther do, Martin Luther? He packed the indulgences on the door, and then they practiced on burning down synagogues. The Crusaders on their way to Jerusalem practiced on killing Jews. There is a history of this. And if Jews don't stand up for themselves, nobody will stand up for you.
When are you running?
And then lastly, when I look at these men across the street, they'll say they're religious, they daven Torah Talmud. But they preach a philosophy. That's a double shanda. When you daven the next time, you should impale yourself on a menorah. You are the worst example of what Judaism can create. Where are you getting your dinars from? Is it Iraq? Is it Iran? Who is it that's lining your pockets to be out there condemning Jews and the state of Israel? You need to explain yourself. And remember, this isn't just left wing, right wing. There are anti-Semites on both sides. They cloak themselves as Democrats, they cloak themselves as Republicans. In the end, remember one thing. When a Jew does not understand their history, they are doomed to repeat it. You can say the righteous Gentiles should stand with us, but when push comes to shove, our old brain cells kick in. So remember, you got to say, number one, second to none. You've helped the Gentiles, you've helped the world, you've enlightened us. We've gotten so much from your Torah, your Talmud, your educators, your culture and tradition. We owe you, and the way we owe you is to make sure your rights aren't violated any longer, and if necessary, take a bullet for a Jew, because we know what's happened over the centuries. Thank you.
Say after that's going to do you justice. So I'm just going to have a moment of silence. No, I'm kidding. Everybody, this must go on. As Dov Hikind mentioned earlier, our next big movement is on June 23rd across the street from Prospect Park. It's going to be a lovely day. I've already checked with the man upstairs. It's got a beautiful forecast coming. June 23rd, we are going to rally in front of Chuck Schumer's apartment building. Please, before you disperse, make sure you sign on. Go onto our website, ilhanmustgo.org. Sign up for our email list. We must all stay in touch now, and we must go forward. And I also want to shout out to some of my friends here who made this possible. Nisi, Sarah, Dean, Gail, Irene, and there's like a cast of thousands that I'm forgetting, but I love you all, and none of this would have been possible without you all. But please keep in mind, this is as nice and entertaining as this was, we are now in a battle. A political battle, but a battle just the same. So I hope I will see you all next time. Anyway, for tonight, thank you everyone. Get home safely, and let us reunite on the battlefield very soon. Ilya must go! Ilya must go! Ilya must go! Also, I just want to ask my friends across the street, where did they get all the Jewish costumes from? Very impressive. Also, I want to thank the NYPD who have been looking over our safety here and making sure everything is orderly. We love you, NYPD, and we always will. And that's all. Thanks. Oh, and if anybody knows where Mayor de Blasio is, thank him for not coming.
De Blasio's gotta go.
Okay, now sing Hatikva. My Hatikva's a little rusty. Who wants to sing Hatikva? Who would like to come up?
Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. And now we have a real singer, Hatikva.
Nefesh Yehudi Homiya Ulefater Mizrach Kadima Ayin Letzion Tzofia Od Lavavda Tikvatenu Hatikva Vat Shnot Alpayim Eretz Zion Yerushalayim Liat Am Choshi Be'atzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim.
And let's not forget Israel's greatest partner on earth, the country that we are part of and that keeps us alive. Star Spangled Banner.
I want to say something very quickly. These lowlifes should not be allowed in Israel. And now for the bureaucracy. See the murderers scum of the earth. Enough! You let murderers come into our country. When is enough?
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.